this video, we're going to be talking about positioning to be a monopoly and really diving deep into the concepts of how to differentiate in a marketplace where everyone is kind of selling the same thing and how you can really stand out and create that unique position for yourself. So let's just dive right in. And I'll start off by talking about why positioning is needed, and then I'm going to talk about some other concepts as well. So, the main reason why positioning is needed is primarily because of two factors. One is to capture attention, and the other is to show you're different in comparison to other options in the marketplace. So, in outbound marketing and advertising, now we've reached a situation where people have really become numb to marketing tactics. So you need something to really interrupt the pattern to catch someone's attention. And this is evident in much of the advertising you see and much of the ads that you remember because they are able to catch your attention. It's a similar thing in outbound marketing, even though we are just reaching out with simple messages, but those messages, either in text, video, audio format, need to be able to catch attention. And when you're able to capture attention, you're basically helps you to be perceived as different, even if you're selling the same thing as your competitors. If you're selling the same outcome, doesn't really matter. But if you're able to capture attention, then you're able to be perceived as different. However, if the buyer that you are targeting and wanting to speak with, if they think that they know what you're going to say and they have an idea of where you're coming from, then they're not going to have a conversation. It's as simple as that. So this differentiation not just starts with marketing, but also lends itself into the sales process. So you need to be able to show yourself as different in comparison to others. And this way, you're not going to be price compared. You'll be seen as the best option in the marketplace to really get that outcome that is desired by the prospects that you're reaching out to. Also, if you're able to show that you're different, you can come across as a new option. In the effort to be different, the main thing here is to be perceived as a new option altogether, not just an improvement over others. So you be seen as a new hope, especially for those people. Let's say you're an agency and you're in the social media space. There is a significant possibility that the people that you're engaging with, they are likely to have be they probably have failed in the past. So you don't want to look like just another social media marketing agency, especially when that segment has been going on for over 10 years, maybe over 15, 20 years now. So this is the reason why you need to be a new option, not just improved over on before, right? So what happens when you don't have a good position in the marketplace? It's really hard to attract and sign clients because everyone kind of looks and sounds the same. And without a clear understanding of your business's unique value proposition, it's a big struggle to really create messaging that speaks to potential customers. And when you're going about creating messaging, you want to be sure of who you're speaking to, like who is the marketplace, who is the niche, how are you serving them, and how are you communicating with them to really get that resonance. This is the reason why, if you have a good positioning in the marketplace, all of this gets solved because you're able to create messaging much more simply, right? Also, without good position, it's it's a possibility that you'll have reduced profitability. You'll be price compared and people can undercut you with the same offer, versus the situation where you have a premium position, that of one, where people just see you as the one source, or one place that they can go to. There is reduced customer loyalty, low lifetime value if you don't have a good position, as you might have seen in the space of traditional agencies. They offer all services in a pick and mix kind of style, so that does not yield great results or margins or scalability. That's the reason why, if your offer is not unique, and it's not sophisticated enough to get results, it's easy for someone to just replicate, steal that offer, and build something better. So, all in all, how do you sort of go about this? how do you go about having a good position? Let's say you have already something in place, right? So what you can do is reposition with a unique mechanism, come up with a unique mechanism to package the value that you bring and communicate it to the market to position yourself as a one of one. I'll dive deep into this concept of one of one as well. Basically, the industry leader that businesses are happy to hand over $100,000 or much more than that. So, what is the concept of one of one? So, Peter Thiel in his book Zero to One talks about this, where he talks about this idea of monopoly profits. How do you, it's much better to create a monopoly rather than competing with others. And this is what simply is the concept of one of one. So he says that in perfect competition, a business is so focused on today's margins that can't really possibly plan for a long-term future. So only one thing can allow a business to transcend that daily struggle or the daily brute struggle for survival is monopoly profits. And this is the reason why Microsoft Teams has 320 million users around the world. Over 1 million organizations are using Microsoft Office, and about 91% of Fortune 100 companies use Microsoft Teams. So it's a great example of one of one. And also, creative monopolists give customers more choices by adding entirely new categories of abundance to the world. So creative monopolies aren't just good for the rest of the society, but they're powerful engines for making it better. Some more examples I'm going to cover here briefly. And this is how you can never be perceived as a commodity. Even in the most sophisticated, saturated markets, you can be unique, something new, exciting, and different for the status quo. One example is Bernard Arnault. I'm not sure if I pronounce his name right, but he is the founder and chair of LVMH, which is a conglomerate that owns roughly 70 luxury brands. He's one of the richest people in the world. He's basically the guy who started Louis Vuitton, Sephora, Christian Dior. He's the founder, chair, and CEO. So what he says is that people can buy women's designer bags anywhere but status. So what basically Louis Vuitton sells is status rather than designer bags. So that's the distinction. Even in a saturated market, he has a very distinct position. Apple has a very distinct position for all their products, be it AirPods, iPad. Tesla is known as, for electric car, people relate to Tesla. When anyone who thinks about buying electric car thinks about Tesla. Some more examples here. Nike owns achievement. Apple, again, we spoke about Apple, owns innovation. Disney owns magic. Tesla owns the future. And Starbucks, an interesting example, owns this concept of the third place between office and home. That's why they're able to charge premium prices for their coffees, right? So this is basically how you go about making sure that you're never a commodity by having a unique angle for differentiation. Couple of more examples here is Domino's 30 minutes of free, Coca-Cola, share a Coke. These examples are cases where brands were able to differentiate themselves by being really unique in their angles of communication. I hope this video has been helpful so far in terms of understanding the idea of positioning to be a monopoly. In the next video, I'm going to talk more about how to position to B2B clients so you're able to capture the ideal kind of customers you want to work with and get as much business as you want, right? And if you have any questions about any of the concepts I covered, just feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to to connect and provide more information, or someone from my team can do that as well. Till then, hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will speak to you in the next video.